I got Korean. Do you?
In this lesson, we're going to look at un, nun, and ika by comparing them to the English articles o, on, and the. This comparison works when o, on, is used for something mentioned for the first time, and the is used to refer to something already mentioned. It does not apply to all uses of an, and, the. Before we start, if you're not sure about the difference in form between un and nun, or I and ga, I recommend watching the previous video first. Let's take a look at an example to understand better. This is what we're going to read today. Let's take a look at each sentence one by one. In this sentence, the article o is used before introducing a man for the first time, and the Korean subject marker ka is used. Then, when the same person appears in the next sentence, English uses the, while Korean uses the topic marker nun. Here, since the flower is mentioned for the first time, English uses the article o, and Korean uses the subject marker yi. On the other hand, when referring again to the previously mentioned hunter, English uses the, and Korean uses the topic marker un. The same rule applies. Since the flower has already been mentioned, English uses the, and Korean uses the topic marker un. Here, the plural noun colors appears. At this point, some of you might be curious about plural nouns. To better understand how un, and ika are used in comparison to o, on, and the with plural nouns, it might be helpful to take a quick look at this video. Korean doesn't clearly distinguish between singular and plural forms. In the case of plural nouns, I think it's easy to understand if you think of it like a bunch of or a group of. English tends to treat each item as a separate object, whereas Korean often describes things as one unified mass or group. Now, let's continue with the next example. Now we have a new noun, beads, which is a plural noun, so we can't use o or on. In this case, it's helpful to think of it as a group of beads. To understand it more clearly, even though it's a plural noun, it's treated as a single unit and is being mentioned for the first time. So we use the subject marker yi. In Korean, oh, now a challenge has come your way. He refers to the hunter mentioned earlier. So why is the Korean marker ga used instead of nun? Thunder and rain. There's no on in English, but in Korean, why do we use I and ga? Let's start with the first point. Do you remember the previous video where I explained how un and ika are used in complex sentences? If you haven't seen that video yet, I recommend watching it first. In this sentence, he is the subject of a subordinate clause, so we use ka. The fact that the noun was mentioned earlier is less important than its grammatical role within the subordinate clause. Now that we've passed the first challenge, let's move on to the second one. Earlier, I mentioned that Korean doesn't distinguish between singular and plural nouns. In the same way, Korean also doesn't distinguish between countable and uncountable nouns. Even if you don't use o, on, because the noun is uncountable, you still use ika when the noun appears for the first time. Wow, we covered quite a lot in this session, didn't we? Now, let's take our time and try some quizzes to apply what we've learned, one step at a time. Did you get them right? Then let's try a slightly more challenging question this time. You're getting the hang of how to use nun and iga correctly. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Next time, let's take a closer look at how nun shows contrast and ka shows emphasis. Have questions? Leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching Got K. See you next time.